guys, thanks for joining me. This is Music Theory Lesson 1. What is the musical staff? Okay, let me find a clean sheet here. So first, we're going to talk about pitch. Okay, so a pitch is a musical sound. A pitch will lie somewhere on the continuum. Just picture this keyboard here, low to high. And we represent pitches on the 5-line, 4-space musical staff. This is what you guys are going to learn how to read. So this is a staff, and I'm going to write notes. Actually, I'm going to use note heads specifically because the notes that I'm going to be just demonstrating here don't have any value, any durational value to them. This is just for theory. So notes represent pitches. I'm going to just draw some note heads here, which are just circles, and they look like this, just like that. I'm writing some note heads just on the spaces here, just like so. And then I could also write some note heads on the lines, just like this. And as you're learning notation, it's really important that you are careful how you write your note heads. So for example, you don't want to do something like this. Okay, so that's too big. I can't distinguish whether that's on the space or the line. So, in my class, if I saw that, wrong. Okay, so just make sure your note heads aren't too tiny. Make sure that they're not too big. Another really important concept when you are writing notes in music, there is ascending and, you guessed it, descending. So you can probably guess this intuitively, but when the note heads are moving this way on the staff up, they're moving this way on the pitch continuum, and vice versa. So if the notes were moving this way down, they're moving this way on the continuum. Another really important concept is steps versus skips versus leaps. So for steps, actually, let me go to skips first because I already have them laid out. So if I move from space 1, if we count this, let's just count this for a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, right? If I just move from one space to the very next space to the very next space, these are considered skips. And likewise for the 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just writing note heads on these lines, I am actually writing skips. These are all considered skips. Now, what if I want to write steps? Okay, before I forget, this is important. And it's really easy to visualize this when you have a keyboard in front of you. The most efficient way to learn how to read and write music is to associate the staff with the keyboard. So for the skips, if I start, forget that this note head might represent something on this keyboard just for a moment. Say like I just started on this white key here, okay, in this piano keyboard layout. And I saw a skip, and a skip. Well, this is what a skip looks like. There's a skip from this key to this key, to this key, to this key, to this key, okay, and so forth. Let's get into steps. Now on the piano keyboard, steps are super easy to visualize because they're just adjacent. So if I start here, and I just go to the very next white key and keep going so forth, those are all considered steps. So the way you notate that on the musical staff is, you guessed it, you're going to go from a line to a space to a line to a space and so forth. So if I start here on space 1, and then I drew another note on line 2, and now I'm on space 2, and now I'm on line 3, and I'm not going to call these lines and spaces 1, 2, and 3 forever because they actually have letter names to them. But what I'm writing here are steps, and these correspond with what's happening here on the keyboard. So I can keep going this way. So steps again are adjacent. Now, do you think these are ascending or descending, what I just wrote? Put it in the comments. Okay, I'll give you a second. You could probably guess it. These are ascending. Were you right? Probably. It's pretty intuitive. These are ascending and these are going up. So they would be going up on the keyboard as well. So let's just write some descending. I'm going to start up here. I'm going to use a new staff here. And if I start here and just go down to a step, go down to another space, and you can name these. We could name these. This would be space 4, line 1, 2, 3, 4, line 4, space 3, line 3. But again, we're only going to do that temporarily because they're going to have letter names attached to them. Descending steps. Okay? Really easy. Okay, so now what about leaps? Okay, so leaps move from a space, skip the next space, and you can go to a line. But it could be much greater than that. You can actually do something really far away. I mean, visually you could see that that's pretty far away. So you can picture on the keyboard here, that's going to be a pretty sizable leap there. But a leap is really anything more than a skip. So if we consider a space to a space or a line to a line a skip, then anything greater than that is considered a leap. And just like steps and skips, you can have descending leaps and you can have ascending leaps. But really understanding the ascending and descending concept and how that sounds is really, really important in music. So last concept for today is the ledger line. A ledger line is an extension of the staff. So we talked about the staff having 4 spaces, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice this note here. This is another space. It's just on kind of the border of the top of the staff. And you could write, you could write 2 space notes bordering the staff. So this is the last possible space on the staff. This is the last possible space on the other side of the staff. So if you want to write any pitches that go higher, you need one of these, and that's called a ledger line. So if I wanted to continue skipping up, I'd have to do that, okay? And then say like I wanted to continue skipping up again, then I would do that. What about on lines? So I'm drawing note heads on all 5 lines of the musical staff, and say like I wanted to continue skipping, then I would draw a ledger line, and there you go. Now let me show you a very common mistake that students make. You have the last possible space, right? And then I see a ledger line, and that's it. And this is considered incorrect. Wrong. All right? After you get to this position on the musical staff, a ledger line isn't needed. A ledger line is necessary when you're starting the next lined note. So this is the point where you'd start writing a ledger line. So say like I wanted to write a note that wasn't this note, but it was even higher than this note. Well, then I would need 2 of these that way. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. From here to here, is that a step? Is that a skip? Or is that a leap? And is it ascending or descending? So this is an ascending leap. And if you got ascending leap, good for you. Awesome. And I'm sure you did. This is an ascending leap. Okay? Right there. Okay guys, so let's just do a little check and make sure that you understand all of the concepts that we discussed. So I've written out several pairs of note heads here, and I want you to tell me what's happening here. So are the note heads skipping or stepping or leaping? And are they ascending or descending? So try to yell it out before I give you the answer. Okay, so for this first one, this is an ascending step. It's going from space 1 to line 2. This one is an ascending leap. This is because it's beyond a skip and it's going from space 2 to line 4. This is a descending skip, and that's because it's moving from a line to another line. And this is line 3 to line 2. This is a descending step, and that's because it's going from a space to a line. And this is the last space, space 4, going to line 4. And lastly, this is an ascending leap. Yes, I know you got it. And this is clearly going from the first space to the last space. So that's space 1 to space 4. All right. Did you get 100%? I'm sure you did. Write it in the comments, 100. And I will see you guys next time. I can do this. That's the idea. I want it to be super, super easy. I want students to go and practice, get really, really good at these really easy tasks. This isn't hard to do. So by the time that we get to intervals, when we get to chords, and you're starting to do some gnarly things, it starts to get hard. You're really set up for success.